All right. So the question of the day is, how are you guys making out? I
So
know you
yeah, go.
survived the budget crisis.
Mhm.
All right. So what? So
Yeah.
how's the academy doing?
Yeah, so I would say we're actually in a really good place, and I would say the fire service is very resilient. We have an amazing staff. We have a dedicated group of more than 400 contract instructors. And if we take a step back and look at last year, and you mentioned this, right? We had a 90-day suspension of in-person training as we went through a Doge review, which came out actually very well. They are very appreciative of the work we did and allowed us to kind of look at our internal processes to see where there's efficiencies. And we identified a number of places we could do a better job. And by that, I mean, running some classes where maybe it doesn't have a cost benefit analysis because there's too few students. The other
Mhm.
place is making sure we're not duplicating efforts with our federal partners, such as CDP or NTED. So, especially I think for some of your listeners, some of our FEMA and DHS partners are also in that EMS space. When you look at CDP, which really helps hospital providers in advanced weapons of mass destruction type
Yeah.
nurse classes, hospital classes, doctors, etc. But then also through the regional partners, they're doing some hazmat classes. So we looked at that analysis and we said, are we duplicating effort? And the answer was no. Our classes are really
Cool.
focused on that first responder, that leader of first responders, but it kind of allowed us to take a step back and look at how we're doing. And then as we moved into the new fiscal year in October, of course, we had a federal government shutdown, and that really shut everybody down, not just the FEMA schoolhouses. So we worked through that. And what I'm really proud of when we look at the numbers for fiscal year 2025, which ended at the end of September, we reached 85,000 students from the National Fire Academy. So an amazing number. Our lowest number was on campus, of course, because the 90-day
Yeah.
shutdown, but our state partners are really strong, more than 20,000 students there. Our biggest platform is our online, what we call NFA online platform, where we have a number of self-study classes, and that's more than 40,000 students take
Wow.
our online classes. So that's our biggest delivery vehicle. But the last time I was on with you all, you asked me what's the future coming out of the pandemic, and my response was our future is in a number of different training spaces. So if you look at the fire service, we are the only industry, profession, whatever you want to call us, that spans multiple generations. So it's not
Mm.
uncommon for a volunteer fire company to have the son, the dad, the grandfather, and the grandson all in the fire service. So we need to have platforms that meet people where they are. So the magic of the National Fire Academy is we really have four different places that we are. So I mentioned NFA online. We're going to continue to have a strong presence in online, but online is not for everybody, right? Since we're
Yeah.
out of the pandemic, people want to go back to in-person classes, interacting with people,
Yep.
and online is not the right platform for incident command classes or for leadership classes where you have group activities, different things like that. You can't learn how to be a fire investigator online, but there are a lot of classes that are very appropriate for online. The second place we're continue to be is our presence with the state training partners. Our partnership with the fire academies across the country, not just to England, but really coast to coast, is strong. So Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire. Some of those classes we bring down to Emmitsburg for the state weekends, but we also bring classes out to the field, and we try to get what I call as close to home as possible for our first responder community, because we know Emmitsburg is not just down the street, right? And a day each way is a day away from work, a day
Yeah.
away from family, etc. So our partnerships with the New England Chiefs, the New England State Training Partners, amazing. We bring a lot of classes out your way and across the country. So more than 20,000 students received NFA classes in their respective state. And then the third part is our partnership with FESHI, our academic partners, Fire and Emergency Services and Higher Education. These are individuals who may be college students. Well, they're all college students, so I take a step back
Right.
and correct myself, but some of them may not be in the fire service yet per se, but are looking to get into the fire service. Others may be fire service members, career or volunteers seeking a college degree, but we have a partnership with over 90 colleges and universities that are using a standardized curriculum to provide professional development opportunities. So that's our third platform. And then the fourth one is Emmitsburg, Maryland. And Emmitsburg, Maryland, I know a number of you have been with us before. I see Kevin Cooney on there, good friend. Kevin knows the importance, you do as well, Nick, of Emmitsburg, because Emmitsburg is the home of the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial, the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, the National Fallen Firefighters Chapel, but also the National Fire Academy. So what sets us apart is the campus, because we can bring people from literally every state in the country to the campus where they could be in a leadership class, a command and control class, and they're learning from each other as much as they're learning from our facilitators. So that's what sets us apart. And it's not a criticism of the state delivery system, because that is a very strong partnership. But in a state delivery system, mostly the people are going to be from your state. They may be in New England from the neighboring state. We've got great relationships there. But, when you come to Emmitsburg and you've got 25 people in the class from 25 different states, they're bringing 25 different fire rescue type operations. So you could be in a leadership class with a chief of a metro department sitting next to a volunteer chief, sitting next to a newly elected, chief at a combination department that's a volunteer, but reports to a chief that's career, right? So all of those different things come together in a classroom, and we really have really amazing discussions. The other thing that I really focus on is the campus is a safe place to have difficult discussions. And what I mean by that is if we bring a leadership class out to a state, those discussions may be a little bit chilled, because if everybody in that room is from that same state, they may not be as open as they want to be, because somebody across the room may have been in their department in the past, or may know somebody in the department, may know a union leader in that department. So you may not say what you really want to discuss, because you're afraid of, is that going to get out? And so just said this, and I think it's about your department. So I think our students are adult enough to understand that, when you're in a professional setting, we get better by having tough discussions, but the campus really allows that to have that. The campus, amazing institution. As we talked about last time, originally St. Joseph's College, established by St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, established before the Civil War. That college merged with Mount St. Mary's University about 50 years ago. At the same time, there was a document written called America Burning that many of your listeners have reviewed at some point. If not, just Google it and bring it up. It tells a story about really America's fire problem 50 years ago. And really, many of those things are still an issue for us today. We still have more than 3,000 civilian fire deaths today. That number has gotten much better, but we still have civilian fire deaths. We still have codes and standards discussions about fire and life safety codes. We still are working to reduce firefighter injuries and deaths. Of course, the NFFF is a big partner in that. But we're doing much better than we were 50 years ago, thanks to America Burning, thanks to all the partners, the fire service organizations leaning in. But we still have a lot of work to do. And within America Burning was a desire to have a national fire academy similar to the military war colleges. And not that we're training soldiers, we're training current and future fire service leaders, but to have a place that you can go and get training that is not locally available. So you're not coming to us to get firefighter one. You're not coming to get fire officer one. You're coming to get a specialized professional development opportunity that doesn't exist locally. So we've been there for 40 years. The campus is as beautiful now as it was then. And we're very honored to be there. And again, each and every day we honor our fallen by not only learning about how our colleagues have died in the line of duty, but how do we mitigate firefighter injuries and deaths through training, through leadership, through safety, through fire investigation, all those different things that we're involved in.
So you gave me a lot to chew on. But the last thing you said made me feel old. I was the first time I went, the registration, everything was on Mimeo paper. And there was only building A. Cafeteria was there. Of course, the pub was there, and then all the I think we were still all the way in the back for the classes.
Mm-hmm.
And even back then, the secret sauce was that, and this was in all the classes I've been there. The secret sauce was you were sitting next to a guy from the Bayou, and a guy actually from the Virgin Islands, and a guy from Colorado, and they all, now sometimes we had to translate because they call things different.
Sure.
Different things. But when it was all said and done, you may think you have this huge, humongous problem, and then you realize, no, we got a little bit of a problem that needs to be tweaked. That dude's got a lot of stuff. And then sometimes we actually shared ideas with them because they were just getting started.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll scratch that a little bit back further, because not only do you have those discussions, but you also create those relationships. So that person sitting across from you may have just had that same issue in their fire department. That person next to you may have just been assigned that by the mayor's office. That person in the corner in your class may have just, created a strategic plan that addresses what you're looking for. So you create this network of sharing, not just sharing of information, but sharing of resources. There's still students that I went to before I was a superintendent in class that we're still on group chats on different social media platforms where somebody will say, hey, I'm working on this. Does anybody have anything? And by the end of the day, you'll get 10 responses, and some of them may have an attachment. Here's what we did. And the other 5 may say, I'm looking for that too. So that relationship is key. And it doesn't end when you leave Emmitsburg. For many people, it continues throughout their career in the fire service. And career, I don't mean just career getting paid, but career as in active in the fire service.
and I was just going to say that. So I think I'm part of at least 3 managing officer groups on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not every day, it's not every week, but every once in a while, either someone has a tragedy and they need a little support, or they're really trying to figure something out. And and those, I love that program because that was the future, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we could still correspond and say, well, here's some, because I still kept all my everything on a thumb drive. Well, this is what we did in 2010, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And you could hook that back um, together with that and fill it out. The other thing I have to chime in on is at least half, if not more, of my National Fire Academy classes were trips to us or to Rhode Island or Massachusetts, maybe once, I think up in New Hampshire. But again, it was those 2-day field delivery classes that got us, because before there was an incident safety officer or a managing officer program, there was the National Fire Academy incident. Those programs are still running. Right.
Sure.
My company,
Yeah.
my volunteer company just hosted that a little while ago. And it's still legitimate. The fire school I work at now, you want to be the safety officer, you have to be certified as a safety officer, one of the two,
Mm-hmm.
to do that, because you want that person that's not, that's got that. Same thing with the leadership stuff. There's stuff I was having a real tough time when I went to those. We did them up at the academy, and they really help to get through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the so what do you need? So what does the National Fire Academy need from the fire service?
Well, it's odd that I would say this in 2026, but what we need is your help getting the word out that there is a National Fire Academy. And what I mean by that is that many people don't really get a chance to travel very far. And what I mean by that is they may not even leave their county or their state, right? So they're
Yeah.
very parochial. So a trip to Emmitsburg may not be on their list. And in some cases, it's because they don't know we exist, right? So,
Right.
still in 2026, I run into people that say, I had no idea there's a National Fire Academy. The other thing that is interesting is when people hear National Fire Academy, they think of a fire academy like your fire school with a burn building, with a ladder tower,
Right.
with a drill ground. And that's not what we do, right? We don't have a fire truck on campus. We don't train firefighters to be firefighters. So, what I would say is, Google National Fire Academy, take a look at our offerings and apply. The other part of that is that if you come to a resident class in Emmitsburg, so that's a 1-week, 2-week class, your only expense to come is to buy a meal ticket while you're on campus in your time. So, we'll cover your mileage if you drive down. We'll cover your airfare if you fly down. We'll provide you with lodging. It's in a dormitory, so we're very honest about that, but it's a nice dormitory.
Mm.
You get world-class training, and you really have an amazing interaction with your peers in that class for that 1 week or 2 week experience. So really, it's just getting the word out that the National Fire Academy is here, and that you should go. And what people say is that once you come, you'll never forget it, and you'll be back, right? So the hardest thing is just getting people to come, but we have a number of departments that send people all the time. So I can tell you some agencies have a person in every class, and then other agencies are like, yeah, we've heard about it, but it costs too much to attend. And I'm like, it doesn't cost you anything to attend, right? So some of this is urban legend, what's out there, but just help get the word out, and come to the weekend when we host, Connecticut, when we host Maine, when we host Massachusetts, etc. Come down for the weekend, come for a resident class, or take classes when we're up in your respective states. But just help us get the word out.
I'll tell you a funny story. So I took hazardous materials operations, right? Back with the two bald guys I kept from New York. I can't remember their names. Anyway, so we were doing a lot of hazmat training in the state. So I'm thinking t-shirt and shorts because I'm going to be in a suit. Well, that was when the Marine took over, and everything got tightened up. So
Mm-hmm.
the first day I'm walking around and I'm noticing everybody else has got dockers and all this. I go, they're going to sweat their butts off in those suits. And then
Yeah.
now I'm getting looked at by the instructors, and they pull me aside. They said, what are you doing? And I go, well, I figured we'd be getting into suits. He goes, there's no suits in this class.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no, we got to teach you how to run an operation. This is not a technician course.
Right.
This is a leadership course. So
Right.
next, I'm hot footing it into Gettysburg because I need clothes. I don't
Mm-hmm.
because I don't even have a golf shirt. I mean, I
Yeah.
may have had a golf shirt, allegedly to go to the outhouse, but I didn't have any real clothes.
Right.
So we ended up having to do that. Um, we and I think the word is getting better. I think the word is getting out, but you're right. There's
Sure.
not as many. There's a lot of folks that used to go to a lot of those things, and either through again their fiscal concerns or whatever. I'll tell you the group that came from Michigan and took 2 days to get there. They were actually, you have to go through Canada to get back into Michigan to where
Right.
their town
Yeah.
was. It
Yeah.
took them, you know, 12 hours to get out of, just out of the region. Never
Yeah,
mind.
and yeah, and you're spot on. And we know there's three things that we're working against in every organization: time, money, and people. Right? We only have so much time. We only have so much money. We only have so many people. And when you look at the challenges a lot of departments are having with staffing, they may not be able to let that person go. Right? So is an online course a better platform?